Today, we're starting a new 5-part series about the philosophy that has changed our lives, possibly more than anything else on the face of the earth: Stoicism. Each day this week, we'll share one Stoic idea, and by Friday, we promise your mindset will literally be bulletproof.
Life is beautiful.
All right, Mike, it's the summer, and every summer there's something on the Discovery Channel called Shark Week. Well, I was inspired by that, and I wanted to do something called Stoic Week. So this week, we're talking about the Stoics.
I like it a lot, Nicholas. I like it a lot. So
I think before we jump in, let's talk about how we even discovered Stoicism and what it really is. So what do you got for us?
we discovered Stoicism over 10 years ago now, back in 2016 when we had just quit our jobs and we were failing freaking miserably at every single thing that we were trying. And we were super anxious. I was depressed. You were trying to basically save me from my anxiety and depression while you were going through your own anxiety.
Yeah.
And we needed to find something that was going to help us stay mentally sane through this, I think, was the hardest mental period of our entire lives.
And we found this philosophy called Stoicism, which is just a school of thought that comes from Athens in the year 300 BC. So 300 years before Christ, this school of thought was invented.
Which is really crazy to think about.
Yeah. And it's been the inspiration for many of the things that people know now, like AA. Even Christianity has roots in Stoicism. So it is a very
I
powerful
think it's
school.
been popularized thanks to Ryan Holiday and his famous books and the Daily Stoic and The Obstacle is the Way. It's
Yeah.
kind of having a new moment.
It
It's like
is.
modern Stoicism.
Well, the reason we found it was because we were following Tim Ferriss, and Tim Ferriss called it an operating system for high stress environments and the most reliable safety net he found for emotional freefall.
Yeah, it's like spirituality for practical people.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a great way to put it.
It's like it's like entrepreneurs, doers. It's the philosophy, because a lot of times when you think of, oh, I'm a philosopher, I study philosophy. You think
Yeah.
of an academic person who's just reading textbooks and doing absolutely nothing with
Yeah.
their lives except sounding really good and sounding really smart. Stoicism is the philosophy, like you said. It's more of an operating system for the doers in
Yeah.
life, which is why we loved it as entrepreneurs.
All right, so without further ado, let's get into idea number one. And to get into idea number one, I want to tell you a story about the greatest college football coach who has possibly ever lived, Nick Saban.
Okay.
So Nick Saban, before he won all these championships, before Alabama, he was the coach.
I love the way you say Alabama.
I know, I can't say it.
Alabama.
So he was a coach of Michigan State, all right? And Michigan State at the time was pretty terrible. Their record was 4-5, and they had a game coming up against the undefeated top team in the nation, Ohio State Buckeyes.
The Ohio State.
Yes. Shout out to our longtime listener friend, Ian. You're not going to like this story, but here it is. So Michigan State is a 24-point underdog going into this game. And Nick Saban can clearly see that all of his players,
It's like David versus Goliath.
yeah, he basically sees his players already look defeated and they didn't even play one snap of this game.
Yeah.
So at the time, he starts really getting into psychiatry and
Psychology.
So he starts getting this professor on campus to come to practice. This guy's name was Lonnie Rosin. Okay.
He's an expert of the mind.
He's an expert at the mind. So this guy starts spending time with the team. So Nick Saban this week goes up to him and he says, "What do you tell a team that doesn't believe it can win?" So this guy, he's a very thoughtful fellow, and he thinks about it. And he says the problem is that the players are focused on something they can't fully control. They're focused on trying to win the game. And in football, there's hundreds of plays. There's bad calls by the referee. There's turnovers. There's weather you cannot control.
Yeah.
Lucky
A
bounces.
lot of variables.
A lot of variables, right? So this guy calculated that the average football play lasts 7 seconds.
Okay.
He says, instead of getting them to focus on winning the game, get them to focus on winning the 7 seconds that is a play, putting their absolute best effort into those 7 seconds.
7 seconds that are in their control at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he says, if they do that and they keep doing that, that is something that they can manage and control. So now they go into Columbus, Ohio that week to play number one team. And in the third quarter, they're losing. But they keep focusing on one play at a time, and they end up upsetting the number one team in the nation, winning 28-24 that day. And that's when Nick Saban developed what is now famously called the process, which is basically this concept of focusing on one thing at a time, which is what is in your control. Why do I tell this story about Nick Saban and the process, Mike?
Because I think you're alluding to the idea that the Stoics really planted their flagpole on, which is the dichotomy of control.
Explain.
And it's this idea that all of life can really be split up into two buckets, the things that are outside of our control and the things that are in our control. And life can be really simple and peaceful if you only focus your attention and your energy on that second bucket of the things that are in your control.
Yep.
Not focusing on the outputs and the winning of the game of life, but focusing on the inputs, what you can put into each day. And this is a topic that we've talked about so many times on the podcast, but it's one that I will be talking about for the rest of my life, because if you only take one thing from this entire series, this is the one thing right here. This is Stoicism in a nutshell.
So what is it that we can control, Mike?
Our attitude, our perspective, our mindset, our thoughts, our actions, basically ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The way I would put it is the only thing we can truly control is our inner world. We cannot control the circumstances and the outside world.
Yep.
And most of our stress and anxiety in life comes when we put our focus and energy on things that are outside of our control.
On trying to control the things that we can't.
Exactly.
So how do we wrap this up with a call to action, Nicholas?
I think we're going to go back to one of our older episodes, which is we recently created a keynote, and that keynote was the golden question. And the golden question is, how can I make the best of this? And that question is really derived from this philosophy of Stoicism and focusing on what we can control, because that question forces you to put your effort and energy on the thing that is in your control right now and to make the most of it.
Yeah.
So today, ask yourself the golden question. How can I make the best of this?
Especially when adversity strikes and when things go wrong. That question is super helpful to point your brain towards the only circle that matters, which is the circle of control. What can you do to make the best of this quote unquote shitty situation?
Yeah.
Really powerful.
All right. That was day one. Day two coming up tomorrow. Hope to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Love you.
Peace.